Hi, I'm Dan and welcome to the Airbrush Garage. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, thanks for coming back. Today, I'm going to be doing part one of a two-part video. Part one is going to be about doing the flag, and part two is going to be about doing the eagle. What I'm going to be going over in this video about the flag is a little bit more detailed than just your general flag or some of the other videos that I have on flags where it's just showing you how to get the flag to roll. There's not a lot of detail in it. This flag right here has some stitching detail in it, and as you can see, there's a lot of little wrinkles in it. So if that's something you're interested in, please stick around, consider subscribing, hit that bell so you get future notifications, a couple comments, good or bad, really helps out with the YouTube algorithm. Don't forget to check out all my Amazon affiliate links down below for the products I use in this video and all my other videos. We got that new store tab. If you go over to the channel, check that out. Some really cool airbrush stuff in there. Really helps out the channel as well. And with that, let's get started. Airbrush quick tip: when you're cutting out your tracing on your masking on your project, you want to take and you want to put a little X on the line that you already cut, because if you get distracted and walk away, you don't want to come back and cut it again, because if you cut back over the line, you're not only going to be cutting, now you're not going to be cutting through your tape, you're going to be cutting onto your surface, and you don't want to do that. So put a little X over it and you won't forget which lines you cut. All right, so I'm going to start off with my weeding tool here. As you see, I have everything masked off and drawn out where I want it. I have the stars cut out, and I'm being really careful to leave them behind. And once I do that, I am going to get my cerulean blue in my airbrush. I'm going to put my eagle stencil up there. You see I have all the magnets holding it on. Once I do that, I'm going to come back in. I'm going to add a little bit of black to my cerulean blue. I'm going to do that for the deepest shadows of the folds or the rolls in the flag or the blue part of the flag. I don't really like to use straight black when I'm doing shadows. I would rather add black to the color that I'm using most of the times. I mean, you can use black, and there are times where you do want to just use black. Now you can see I'm bringing out the shield here and kind of holding it above the surface to just give myself just sharpen up, but a soft type of line. I don't have it laying right down on the surface. Once I got that done, take the magnets off, I'll take the shield off, and now you can kind of see the silhouette of the eagle. I'm just going to remove the stars again with my weeding tool. And I did want some of the blue to show through around the eagle or the edge of the eagle. And now I got some scarlet red. And as you can see off camera, I removed the tape where I want the red stripes. Now I'm just going to flood it in. And you really don't want to go too heavy too quick. You want to give it, a light coat the first time. By the time you're done, the last stripe and you go back up to the top, it's dry enough where you're going to go back up and you can start laying it in a little bit heavier. It usually will take about at least 2 coats, but probably 3. Don't go too fast, too quick. Now I got some illustration blackening gun, and what you see me doing here is I'm really going mostly on the tape. I'm using a bounce technique, but I'm staying in close and tight because I just want kind of a fine line to, get out there on the red, but not a lot. So again, I would say this is 95% on the tape, maybe even a little more. And I'm just using, you got to trust the process here where the bounce technique is going to give you that little bit of overspray or line that you're going to want. By no means am I trying to stripe the red here. And these black lines here are kind of just going to set me up for the edges for our stitching. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to start putting, the folds into the flag. As you can see, I'm looking up. I'm really paying close attention to my reference. There's a lot of little wrinkles in this flag. They're not big flowing rolls. So this is not the quickest flag in the world to do because I want to put a lot of detail into it as far as the stitching goes, all of the little rolls. It's really more wrinkles than they are rolls. Now you don't have to follow your reference exactly. You're really looking at the reference just to see flow, direction, where things are darker in certain areas than others. So that's what you're really looking at the reference for. You just gotta trust the process. It doesn't have to be exact. As you can see, again, I'm doing a lot of looking at my reference, almost just as much as I am painting. But that's just because I want to make sure I'm going in the right direction and I'm getting there, all the details in there that I really want to see. You really can't rush a process like this. You just got to take your time, keep it light. You can always go back in and darken things up. But if you go too dark, you really can't go back and lighten something like this up. Now you're going to see in a minute, once I take off the stripes where the white are going to be, a lot of this black is going to lighten up. So that's the other thing, you'll gain experience with, knowing how dark you should be going for when you're going to remove, say, other parts of masking in your project, what's going to happen to it. And with the addition of the white coming in, it's going to lighten up the black. All right, now you can see the white stripes are removed. And as I said, the black really isn't all that dark. So now I'm going to take a shield out here. I'm going to use a little freehand as well. And I'm just going to start, laying in some folds, connecting the red lines together or the red stripes. Start laying in some structure for the stitching, as you'll see in a minute. But again, I want to look up at that reference and I just want to make sure that I have basically the right flow going. And I'm just using the tip of the stencil here, and I'm just starting to put in some shadows for that stitching. And again, working very light here. I know you probably can't really even see what I'm doing or seeing the paint go down, but it's there, and it's a matter of a process of building it. Again, just using the tip of that stencil. Use whatever you have at your disposal. Try different things. I tried the first stencil. It was kind of working the way I wanted to. Picked up this stencil and I liked it better. So don't be afraid to try things. And as you can see with the illustration colors, if you make a mistake, you can just pull out that eraser. You can add some effects with it. You can erase some things out with it. You can correct some mistakes. So the illustration colors for this type of work just really work really, really good. Now, if I didn't mention before, I do just have illustration black in the gun here for the stitching and for the rolls and for the shadows. And when you see me working with the stencil here, most of the times I have the stencil elevated about a ½ inch, keeping it loose above the surface because I don't want really sharp lines here. I want definition, but I want to keep it soft. Now you're starting to be able to see how the white and the red stripes are starting to get connected together. When you're doing stitching, I think the effect that at least I was trying to achieve was the stitching basically creates a pull on the flag itself, where it was stitched. So you're going to have these highs and lows. You're going to have these little bits of, dark shadows in between each stitch, and it's just going to create the illusion of stitching. You don't have to get super detailed with it. You just need to create the illusion that when someone's looking at it, it looks like stitching. I'm trying to zoom in here close so you can kind of get a sense or see what I'm doing with this stitching. Again, some of it's freehand and some of it is done with the stencil itself. So as you can see, if you get a little too sloppy with it like I did there a little bit, you can pull out the eraser and you can tighten it up. As you can see before, when I first started, the bounce technique I was using, I didn't get a lot of black. Remember, probably about 1% of that paint was going on, just giving me that very fine line with the bounce technique. Now I'm going back in and I'm darkening some of it up, but that's just it. You could always go back in later. You don't want to go too dark too quick. I'm just going in and pulling little dagger strokes out, basically really light in between each of the stitches, just to give it a little definition. Here I'm basically just putting in some really loose dots for the lowest of the lows of the valleys of the stitching. Oh, a few more finishing touches. I think we're going to call the flag good. And we'll head on over to part 2 and we'll start the eagle. All right, there you have it. Part 1 of part 2. So we got the flag under our belt. The next part's going to be on the eagle. The focus is really going to be on the beak and the eye, not so much the feathers, because that's the focal point of the eagle and what I'm trying to get across. So if that's something you're interested in, go check out part 2. You guys know the drill. If you like what you're seeing here, help out the channel, couple comments, hit those links. It all really helps. We'll see you in the next video.